Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. Are you all excited for Christmas? Well, we've got some exciting Manchester United news to bring you. Breaking news this Christmas Eve, where Joao Felix has been offered to Manchester United in what would be a quite sensational deal, and one that personally is one I've been talking about for quite a few days now. So intrigued by that. We've also got some interesting updates from Erik ten Hag. He did do a press conference today. Again, it wasn't the sort of press conference we wanted. He's actually not sat down and done press conference with the established journalists since before the World Cup, because he didn't do a Carabao Cup one, and then he did an embargoed one after the Burnley game on Wednesday, which is virtually a week before we play Forest. So it's a very difficult one to know about injuries and team news. But he did speak about Sancho, and he did speak about Martinez and Varane, and a little bit about Gakpo. So we'll talk to you about that. But this story, it's a Friday night show as well. I know it's weird. I mean, you know, getting your head around what Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, all that jazz, New Year's Eve, you know, we lose track of our days, but it is a Friday night show, which traditionally is a bit laid back, bit of a Q&A, but we've got some big breaking news for you. So this is coming in from Duncan Castles, who I think has been somebody that's spoken about United for years. He seemed to be quite well connected with Mourinho, and he's certainly well connected with Mendes. He was ahead of the game about Ronaldo in the summer, and therefore when he talks about Joao Felix, I think he's probably ahead of the game there, and I think that's absolutely fine. You know, there is no journalist out there that's elite in everything that they do. Certain journalists have certain relationships with some people. It's like your friends, isn't it? Some of them are friends with other people and not, you know, it's just how it works. So I think this is really interesting what Duncan Castles is saying, and he's basically saying that while Manchester United are interested in Joao Felix and are considering him as a replacement for Cristiano Ronaldo, Arsenal are said to be further ahead in talks to sign him. However, this is what he says: Atletico Madrid are prepared to loan Joao Felix to a Premier League club at financial fair play cost. Arsenal and Manchester United are interested in the Portugal forward. So what does that actually mean? So effectively, good evening, Mark and everyone, says Francis. Welcome to the Members Club, Franklin. Thank you very much for joining, pal. Don't forget to do the quiz. You'll have your badge next to your name now. You're very welcome. Thanks for supporting us. Basically, what Atletico Madrid are offering, and I've been saying this for a while. So basically, I've been saying Atletico Madrid are not going to get £80 million for Joao Felix in January. Nobody is going to give him that money. What they're better off doing is what we want to do with Wan-Bissaka. Loan them off to a club where they're going to play regularly, put themselves in the shop window for the summer where you might get a good fee for him. Well, lo and behold, that's now what Atletico Madrid want to do. They want to loan him out until the summer with no obligation to buy. They want £8 million for the loan and wages covered. So basically, if Man United agreed to do it, they'd pay £8 million to have Joao Felix between now and the end of the season, and they'd cover his wages. And if it didn't work out in the summer, we can just send him back. Well, for me, this is a no-brainer. Arsenal are apparently ahead in the race, and I don't care whether it's Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, whoever. I think that deal, I'm not going to pretend if Arsenal get him, it's a bad deal. I think it's a really good deal. It's an intelligent deal, and it's a deal with very little risk attached to it. And to be honest with you, we spend so much time talking about Gakpo, and if Erik ten Hag wants Gakpo, that's the deal to be done. I respect that, and I'm excited about that. But I have said consistently, if it's a choice between Joao Felix and Gakpo, I'm sorry, Joao Felix is the better player. He is. And talk to me about development. Joao Felix is also younger than Gakpo. So I think that if Arsenal get Joao Felix and we get Gakpo, I'm not saying that we've got the worst deal, but there's a good deal to be done there. And we did look at him in the summer. So I don't know why we wouldn't look at this deal. Dan Clark says Felix would get bullied in the Premier League, but does it matter? You know, maybe Gakpo gets bullied in the Premier League and doesn't work. I mean, you can't not buy a player because you think they might flop. I mean, that's just silly. I think that, in my opinion, it's a fantastic deal, whoever does it, and I hope it is Manchester United, because I think logically, this is what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. Atletico Madrid cannot get 80 million for Felix in January. They've got to loan him out. And the fact that there's no obligation to buy, if he came to Man United and you pay 8 million, I mean, look, I think we got paid 5 million for Martial to go to Sevilla. So 8 million is nothing for a player on loan. You do pay a loan fee. And, you know, covering wages is not unusual for 5 months. And if he works, you negotiate a deal in the summer. If it doesn't work, you send him back. I just think it's an absolute no-brainer, but that doesn't mean we're going to do it. Just signed Chicharito, boom, problem solved, says Arpanida. Yeah, it's not 2010, mate. Alex Riley says, I've just arrived, we must get Zhao. Well, I think it's we will get both, says Painless. Well, would you take both? Of course you would take both. I mean, why not? You know, try them both. But I think that try before you buy with Joao Felix is a great opportunity. Apparently, Atletico Madrid want him to go to a Premier League club. They're not in Europe anyway, so it doesn't really impact on them. There's not a lot not to like about this deal. There really isn't. If you like the player, it's a very, very good deal to do. And I'll be intrigued to see if United are going to do it. Now, personally, Duncan Castles, I think when it comes to George Mendes' clients, is very, very good. And obviously, he's been well briefed on this. And he's got the scoop on this. And he had the scoop on Ronaldo in the summer. And to be honest, I didn't believe the Ronaldo scoop in the summer. And it turned out to be correct. So I think he's got a very good connection with Mendes, who I believe is also Mourinho's client, and he had a very good connection with Mourinho when Mourinho was manager. So I think what Duncan Castles here is talking about is probably just about spot on. And he also mentions that Arsenal are ahead in the race, even though Man United are interested. I think for Arsenal, it's an absolute perfect short-term replacement for for Jesus. And even with Jesus back, it still gives. I mean, God, if Joao Felix goes to Arsenal, and they can get Jesus back in February, I think they've got a great chance of, really pushing City for the title all the way. I think it's that good a signing. It's whether Man United want to get the finger out and get involved in it, because, I'm assuming we would win the race between Arsenal and Manchester United. Having said that, they are top of the league. Maybe we wouldn't. Will Gakpo definitely leave PSV in the winter, says Miles? And what are the chances United tried to go for both Gakpo and Felix? Could use the depth, says Billy. I think they're slim. I think it's a great question, Billy, and a few people are saying it. I think it's really slim, because if you think about it, to buy Gakpo, you're going to have to spend about 50 million quid, including his wages. Then you're going to spend another 8 million and 250 grand a week on Joao Felix. So the package deal for that is going to be $1 million a month plus 8 million. It's going to be about 15 million. So you're asking the club to spend 65 million on two strikers. I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's either or. I'd like to see both. I mean, if Sancho's problem, which we're going to talk about in a minute, is massive, then you do need both. But I don't think United will go for both, to be honest. And I'll run a poll. Which one would you rather go for? I think we should get both, says Leo J. Plus Felix would like to play with Bruno and Delo, says Leo J. Thank you very much for the super chat there. Let's do a poll. Which one would you prefer? It is Friday night, so either or. Either or. Gakpo or Felix. Let me know your thoughts in the poll there. For me, it's Joao Felix for the reasons that I'm about to state. I think he's a better player, and he's got bigger ceiling. He's younger, if that matters, which it doesn't really. And he's also a try before you buy from a better league. So I think for me, Joao Felix just edges it. I'm not unhappy if we get Gakpo. I think some people don't want Gakpo. If Ten Hag wants Gakpo over Felix, let's do that deal. I'm 100% behind the manager. But personally, I would rather get Felix, because you know what? If Joao Felix doesn't work, you can send him back to Atletico Madrid in the summer when hopefully we've got new owners and buy Osman. I mean, that's got to be an advantage as well. If you buy Gakpo and it doesn't work, does that prevent you going for another striker in the summer? Hopefully not. If you get Joao Felix on a loan and it doesn't work, you send him back and you buy Osman. So I think that, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of what Spurs did last year, and they got top four by doing it. They brought in Kulusevski and Bentancur on loan, and they got top four. And then they assessed it in the summer and they bought them both. I think for United, this is perfect for January, But probably Arsenal will win that race, to be fair. I think probably Arsenal will win it. But if you're tuning in a little bit late, big breaking news this evening. Duncan Castles, who's got good connections with George Mendes, who is obviously the agent, super agent, but the agent for Joao Felix, is saying that Manchester United and Arsenal are interested in a loan deal for Joao Felix, who Atletico Madrid will let go on loan to a Premier League club in January, and all they want is the wages covered and an £8 million loan fee, and if it doesn't work out, there's no obligation to buy. I mean, I think there might be a few more other clubs. It's a very sensible deal as well, says Gary. Well, it's a very sensible deal for the Glazers, because they don't have to spend 50 million quid. I think they will if they have to, but they don't have to spend 50 million quid. But ultimately, we can all speculate, we can all vote in the poll, but let's be absolutely clear here. The most important factor here is, what does Erik Ten Hag want? And what is available? Because I tell you what, if I'm, and then he said Ed Woodward, if I'm John Murtagh, this is where a director of football needs to be intelligent. If I'm John Murtagh, I'm saying, look, we're about to get new owners in. There's going to be major investment when we do. What's the difference between Joao Felix and Cody Gakpo? Well, for me, Eric, the big difference is Joao Felix is going to cost us about 15 million between now and the summer. Gakpo is going to cost us about 55. We could probably get you a right back as well as Joao Felix. So, you know, I think it makes a lot of sense. Nishant says get both. I don't think so. Can Felix handle the physicality of the Premier League, says Kev? I don't know. I don't know. You know, I don't know. There's no guarantees he's going to be a success. I'm just saying I would prefer that. Both are not strikers and we need a striker, says Lucy. Well, Lucy, tell me a striker we're going to get in January. I don't disagree with you. I think both of them can play at number 9. They can also play wide. They can also play at number 10. I don't think Ten Hag is trying to solve his striker issue in January. As Duncan Castles said, they're looking at Joao Felix as a replacement for Ronaldo. They're looking at Gakpo as a replacement for Ronaldo. Only Ten Hag knows what that means. But I agree with you. They're not out-and-out strikers, but it might be a different way of playing. I certainly could imagine Joao Felix playing as a false 9, receiving the ball to feet with Antony and Rashford running in behind him. I can see that. It's exactly what Harry Kane does at Spurs. I think it's a good deal, but let's see what Ten Hag's vision is. And that's a very... Thanks for the super chat, Ray, but that's a very intelligent observation. It really does come down to what the manager wants to do. And I'm not going to sit here and say we should get Joao Felix, because if the manager says, I want Cody Gakpo, we put a lot of work into that, that's the deal I want, and you want me to get Joao Felix because he's cheaper, I want Gakpo, they should get Gakpo. I would agree with that. I like both, but understand why we would get Felix, is Tumbleweed. Marcus Stevenson, who's a member, says Jonathan David is an out-and-out striker, but not the level of the player Felix is. Yeah, Marcus, there is Thuram is available. Obviously, Jonathan David is available. Memphis is available, but they're not on the level of Joao Felix and Cody Gakpo. If Cody Gakpo and Joe Felix weren't available, we'd all be talking about Jonathan David, Thuram, and Memphis. And look, it's still options. Some January transfer windows, you don't have any options. So you could go for a lesser striker, but we're talking about the 2 best options for United that are available in January. I personally want Osimhen, but that's not happening. I agree with you, Mark, on Felix, but I'm very surprised how bad of a season he's had at Atletico Madrid. Billy, he's been a flop at Atletico Madrid. He's been a flop, but I think there's a player there, and I think he suits the Prem. I think if you put Mo Salah at Atletico Madrid, he'd struggle. I do. I think the way they play, Diego Simeone's happy with 40% possession. He's a very defensive coach. I don't remember saying it at the time, but I do remember thinking it. Joao Felix to Atletico Madrid, what's that all about? You know, he's a creative player in a team that's not really that creative. I do think there's a risk, but it's a low value risk because it's a loan, and he's a diamond in the rough. I really do think that it might not work, but it could be an absolute super deal. And I tell you what, if we don't do it and he goes to Arsenal, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Arsenal just kick on. I agree with you, Mark, and Felix. I'm very surprised how badly I've done that one from Billy. Also, we've had a super chat from Sai. He says, Felix is a wonderful player in the middle. Gakpo plays from both sides. For balance, I think Felix would suit us better until the summer. We need centre players, says Sai. And James Holland's been a member for 7 months. He says, if we don't secure Gakpo in January, we risk him being sold elsewhere as PSV want to sell. We could loan Felix in and end up with neither come the summer, says James. Yeah, no, you're right. You make a good point as well. If we don't get Gakpo now, we could go somewhere else because PSV need to sell. It's a very, very valid point. Having said that, if we don't get Gakpo now and we go for Joao Felix on loan and we get new owners in, we might be buying Osimhen in the summer anyway for 100 million. So, you know, it's all ifs, buts and maybes, isn't it? Yeah. Both would be a dream, says Wilfred, and unfortunately I think it would be a dream. Vlahovic, says Ushnish. You know, who knows? Who knows? Felix is playing rubbish in La Liga, so he's going to do worse in the Prem. That doesn't actually make sense, Mel. It doesn't make sense. Mo Salah wasn't doing as good as he did in the Premier League in Serie A. Kevin De Bruyne wasn't doing as good in the Bundesliga as he did in the Premier League. It's there's no correlation between performing in a defensive side in La Liga and performing in an attacking side in the Prem. I personally think Joao Felix for Arsenal would be fantastic. You know, you look at the players they've got: Saka, Jesus, Odegaard, Martinelli. You stick Joao Felix into that, I think it'll work. Oz says Enzo news. I'm not aware of any Enzo news, but let me have a quick look and see. I love it when people say Enzo news and then don't tell me what the news is. Let me have a quick look. Love to know where I'm meant to be looking. Yeah, I can't see anything about Enzo Fernandez. So if someone wants to let us know in the chat, it is a Friday night show, so it is interactive. Okay, apparently it's on United Stand Twitter. Okay, that's always good. Let's have a look. United Stand. Here we go. Okay, so it's from Bruno Andrade, who is a Portuguese journalist. Man United are overtaking Liverpool in the race for Enzo Fernandez. There are already ongoing conversations between all involved. Man United even willing to beat the 120 million release clause and avoid any competition. Bullshit. Sorry, that's bullshit. We don't have the money. Like we just don't. I keep saying this. This is bullshit from Portugal. Like you've got to get used to this. If David Ornstein or Fabrizio Romano come out and say that we're bidding for Enzo Fernandez, absolutely fine. But I was speaking to a Liverpool fan 3 days ago because they were talking to me about the record in Portugal had said that there'd been an offer from a Premier League club of 100 million euros for Enzo Fernandez, and there was a rumour it wasn't Liverpool. And the Liverpool fan was saying to me, we absolutely have not bid for him. And I said, we haven't bid. There's no way we're bidding 100 million euros for Enzo Fernandez. He's only been at Benfica a year. We haven't got that money to do that at the moment. Like, we can't. You know, you talk about financial fair play. We can't spend £100 million on Enzo Fernandez in January and then buy Cody Gakpo for 50. We can't do it. We might try and do it in the summer. But talking about United putting a bid in now, it's just... It detracts from what we're actually trying to do. You know, there's a genuine story about a good value bargain for Joao Felix. There's a genuine story about Ten Hag wanting Cody Gakpo. There is no genuine story that Man United are about to bid £100 million for Enzo Fernandez. We don't have the money to do that in January, and it's not an absolute priority in January. Unfortunately, as much as I would like the lad, we have got Scott McTominay, Fred, and Donny behind Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno. We don't need to buy a midfielder yet, but we do need a striker. So I'm sorry, I think it's bullshit. And where the source is, I don't trust Portuguese outlets much anyway. But I'd love it to be true. Get Gakpo now. He can play anywhere up front, and new owners will get an actual 9 in the summer. Getting Felix now means only a loan and no Gakpo, says Mario Franco. And hi Mark, I just got my Manscaped lawnmower 4.0. Can't wait to try it out, and will send you a pic of the yard when I'm done. Ashley, you don't need to do that. Freezing here in Little Rock, Mark, says Beryl. No heat. Thanks to you and the community for keeping me company over the years. Happy Christmas to you and all of everyone else. Happy Christmas, Beryl. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying warm. Light a fire, that's probably a good idea. Not like an arsonist. I mean, don't start lighting fires, in bushes or anything like that. And that's got nothing to do with Manscaped. And I'm digging a big hole here. What I mean is, Beryl, and I'm sure you'll understand, is, if you've got a fireplace, light a fire and, snuggle up. Not with me, obviously. That let's just say, I hope you get warm. Enjoy the show. Amir says Felix coming to United would motivate him to perform and show Simeone and Atletico what they're missing with Simeone's style of coaching. I think, as I said, if he goes to Arsenal, and my hunch is he'll go to Arsenal, I think he'll do really well. Why can't we buy Gakpo for 40 to 50 million and also get Felix on loan? Says Nabil. I don't think we've got the money to do it. Really interesting. The poll has had 4,000 votes, and I'm going to keep it open for a bit longer. 48% of you would go with Gakpo, 52% of you would go with Felix. I love these sort of votes. Absolutely love these sort of votes because it shows the debate and intelligence in the chat. Absolutely love it. Emmett would like the picture from Ashley. You see, I'm like Cilla Black, blind date. We're bringing people together. We're making love. No, we're not. We're bringing potential lovers together in the chat. Emmett and... wants a picture of somebody after Manscaped. I think they call it something, don't they? Hi, Mark. Hope you're doing great. Did you purchase the Devil NFT from United? No. Is that still a thing? NFT? Mark, which player would you prefer? Joao Felix, to be honest. But ultimately, I want Erik Ten Hag to get what he wants. I think that's most important. Anyway, maybe we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's talk about Erik Ten Hag for a moment because this caught me by surprise. Matt, who's doing our socials, messaged me about it this afternoon and said, Erik Ten Hag's done a press conference. I said, where? I looked on MUTV. I didn't see a press conference. He said it was released at 1:30. Basically, they did what they do on Europa League night. Basically, Ten Hag did the press conference for the Forest game after the Burnley game. I mean, I know it's Christmas, but bloody hell, they've just had 5 weeks off. why couldn't we have a proper press conference today where we can ask proper questions? This was done after the game against Burnley on Wednesday. We're playing Forest on Tuesday. So we're doing a press conference for Forest 6 days before. So it's very difficult to figure out what it means for team news. Obviously, we'll get our preview up for you tomorrow. But what he did say about Sancho was quite interesting. Sai says, if we were competent like Man City, we could probably get Felix and Gakpo for the same price as Enzo Fernandez, says Sai. And Ten Hag don't like doing press conferences, Jan. It's probably something to do with Christmas, to be fair. But I just think we're all eager to hear from Erik Ten Hag properly, because he's such a great manager at the moment. Well, great's too much, isn't it? But I'm really enjoying him as Manchester United manager. So anyway, he spoke about Jadon Sancho, and he said that very unlikely that he will play against Nottingham Forest, as he's still continuing. He's still continuing his rehabilitation, and we believe he's still doing that away from Carrington. So a bit of an update on Jadon Sancho, that he will not be involved in the game against Nottingham Forest, or very unlikely be involved in that game, as he continues his rehabilitation away from Manchester United. And I'm sure that's not really the answer or conversation that you want, but I suppose it fits in with Gakpo and Joao Felix in a way. I mean, how long's a piece of string with how long Sancho will be out? I'm expecting him to be back very soon, but the fact that he didn't go to the World Cup and he's basically been away from United for about 2 months doesn't fill you with confidence that he's going to be back in the next 2 weeks, does it? But hopefully he will. But then, even when he does come back, it might take him a bit time. Basically, what I think is, I think Sancho's been doing a lot of work away in the Netherlands and stuff, so his match fitness won't be great, but I think his general fitness will be good. But I think when he comes back, Erik Ten Hag will want to analyse him for a bit. What we're talking about here is a player who's low in confidence and apparently low in match fitness. So I don't think Erik Ten Hag, even if Sancho comes back and does well for a week, I don't think he'll throw him in. I think he will want to see what he does in week 2, because Sancho might come back in week 1, work really, really hard, and then he picks him and then he falls off again. I think Ten Hag will be careful. I think he'll basically say to Sancho, look, really impressed with you on week 1, but you're going to have to do this for a couple of weeks before I start putting you back in, because I don't want to see another relapse. I don't want to, we want to make sure this time that you're fully ready. And that's just a duty of care. So personally, don't expect Jadon Sancho to play for Man United again this year, which sounds a lot, but ultimately it's Forest next week, and then it's Wolves a week tomorrow, and then it's New Year, isn't it, after that? So I don't think he'll be involved in either of those games, regardless of when he comes back. Maybe talking nonsense, says AJ, but doesn't Felix on loan and also getting Depay for free seem more United style, says AJ? Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, I'd be very, very surprised if Manchester United ended up pulling out of a Cody Gakpo deal. As I said, I did a video this afternoon on Gakpo, so I don't really want to go into it massively. But there was another update from Simon Mullock in the Mirror, who seemed to be quite close to the Ten Hag camp, the Mirror. I don't know why, but they do. And he's basically said that Man United started their move for Cody Gakpo this week upon hearing about PSV's financial issues, which has led them to open to an accepting offers of less than £50 million. So, and he says that they've opened up talks with PSV about signing Cody Gakpo. So I've got to be honest, regardless of what people vote in the poll, I genuinely would be very surprised if United pulled out of the Gakpo deal now. I think it's pretty advanced, and I think it's what Ten Hag wants. The question is, should we be pulling out of it to go and get Joao Felix? And I would say you've got to seriously consider that when you're being offered a player of that quality, that cheap. And let's not forget that last August, Man United knocked on the door of Atletico Madrid for Joao Felix, and they said he's not available. And then we bought Anthony. So there must be something in Ten Hag tonight that's going, I do like that player. And I'm sure he'll ask the question, can we get both? But I'm pretty sure the answer from United will be no. Zane's an Arsenal fan. He says, Felix is ours. Stop trying to nick our players. I'm fed up with this, says Zane. I actually think he'll end up with you, and I think it'll be a good signing, mate. Happy holiday, Mark, says Suman Yajit. Have nothing profound to add today, but wanted to say thanks for all the awesome work and memories you all created for us this year. Thank you very much. Obviously, we will be live in the morning for a Christmas Eve morning show with all the latest news. I don't know whether we'll be live tomorrow night because it is Christmas Eve, but we'll definitely be live for you tomorrow morning, and we've got content for you over the Christmas period. Boxing Day morning will be live as well. But I tell you what, I've been in London this morning, came back, and this afternoon I've got a massive headache, cold, sore throat, and I'm like, I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. I had COVID in May. I'm pretty sure I had COVID in October, and if this is COVID again, you can't get it 3 times in 8 months, but it might just be a virus, but I can't believe it. I can't believe I've gone and got it on the night before Christmas Eve, but I'm trying to sort of just ignore it and, take lots of paracetamol and within reason, and work through it. But there's a lot of people ill. I've seen a lot of people messaging me saying that they are testing positive for COVID. So if you are ill this Christmas, you're not alone. Get plenty of rest, and I suppose people say it's not nice being ill at Christmas, but at least there's some good telly on. Would you take Harry Kane for free next summer, says Miz? I've got to be honest, I'm not going to change my opinion on this. I know Robert McCormack loves it. He might not be watching, but I really do think United will go for Harry Kane. I heard Gary Pallister on about it, actually. I don't know what Gary Pallister's got to do with talking about United in the context of who he was talking to, but he was on about Harry Kane. I think people who want Harry Kane at Man United are the same people who want Gareth Southgate to stay in charge, and that there's quite a considerable percentage of people who want that. I'm convinced Man United will go for Harry Kane in the summer. Do I want it to happen? No. I don't think we should be going for a 30-year-old for 80 million in the summer, even though he's a very good player. I think we should be going for something different. But I wouldn't be surprised if we did go for Harry Kane. I've said that, and I'll keep saying that. I have a feeling we'll buy Harry Kane in the summer, and I think he'll be the big significant signing. But you could see it working. If you look at the way that Kane links up with Son off the left, imagine that with Kane and Rashford. Because of how Ollie started Sancho's career, I don't know if he diminishes from not getting picked or if he uses that as a motivation to be better, says Stephen. Yeah, well, look, Sancho was not handled well. I like Sancho. If you look at what Pep did with Grealish, they were both bought in the same summer. Pep bought Grealish for £100 million and played him nearly every week. Ollie bought Sancho after a year of chasing him, bought him for 74 million quid and then wouldn't start him. And I think that's... I felt sorry for Sancho. I mean, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe he wasn't fit. Maybe he had these problems that he's got now. I don't know. But I don't think the start to his career was ideal and probably didn't fill him with confidence. Daniel Gant says, my goodness, these prices are so inflated. 100+ million for Enzo. He's good, but not that damn good. Jackie Grealish ruins the market. Love the show. Merry Christmas, brother, says Daniel. Thank you very much for the super chats that are coming in. It's 50-50 in the poll between Joao Felix and Gakpo, by the way. I'm loving the questions tonight. We've got a real vibrant show. I think people are enjoying themselves. Remember, this is the place to be for all your Manchester United chat. The United Stand. Subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. It's free to do it. January transfer window is about to kick off. Loads of games about to kick off. This is the place to be. 8 o'clock every night, 10 o'clock every morning. Match reactions, player ratings, match vlogs outside the ground before the game, previews. This is the place to be. The biggest and the best. Certainly the best because of you, the best community. I don't know about me and Beth and Adam and Charlie and everyone else and Kev. I mean, I think we're good. And Ricky and I'm trying to think of who else we have on. Loads of people, but yeah, you're the best. Hello, Mark. Can you say hello to my friend Ian Moynihan for me? He has recently moved into a new home in Dublin with his wife and kids. Hope you get well soon, Mark. Thank you very much, Donor, and big shout out to Ian Moynihan. Thank you very much. Just before, I want to get into your questions because they've been so good tonight. But so he spoke about Sancho. He had a wry smile on his face when he was asked about Cody Gakpo, Ten Hag, and he was also asked about whether Varane or Martinez would be available for the Forest game, and he said, I don't know. ZM says, GOAT community, I love you all. Spot on. He said, I don't know yet whether Varane or or Martinez will be available for the Forest game. I personally don't think they can be. Unless Varane's turning up to training tomorrow, I can't see how he plays on Tuesday. But Ten Hag did go on to say that he completely understands the disappointment of Varane, and he completely understands the celebration of Martinez, who's on tour in Argentina at the moment. But he did say that Martinez needs to remember that on the 27th of December, the Premier League starts again. So I don't think Ten Hag really expects Gakpo to be Martinez to be back for the Forest game, but I think he wants him back for the Wolves game. Quite rightly, we need to be taking 3 points. Do you think that De Gea 10 United fan says, do you think they'll be back for the 27th? Well, I suspect Harry Maguire's probably got what some of us have got at the moment. He's probably feeling a bit rough, and the last thing you want to be doing is trying to play football when you feel like this. Trust me. So, Varane coming back would be quite useful, but obviously Varane himself felt rough last weekend. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. Can I just give a big shout out to Denny's? He's just gifted 10 United Stand memberships. It's Christmas. He's just gifted 10. So big shout out to him. Legend of the chat there. If you are a member, you can gift memberships, and that's very, very generous of you, Dennis. Thank you very much. I gave 10 this morning as well, so there's a few people getting gifts here. Remember, if you get gifted a membership, you'll get a badge next to your name for the month. You'll also be able to look at our exclusive content, including the Christmas quiz that went up this week on the members section. After a month, it will drop because it's gifted, but if you want to stay a member, you just join yourself. And it randomly just gives it to people in the chat. So Sem got one there. If you want to join, you can click the join button, obviously. Dave Lawrence has done it. Welcome, Dave. What's a membership? You get people with badges next to their name, they change each month. And then we do extra content for people as a thank you as well. So big up to the United Stand Members Club. Thank you very much. But big up to everybody, really, because that's, the community is what makes and breaks it. And I'm really enjoying the show tonight. Thank you. I hope everyone's enjoying it as well. Keep your questions coming in. We're 50-50 on Gakpo and Joao Felix. If you are tuning in a little bit late, significant breaking news earlier on this evening that Manchester United and Arsenal have been offered Joao Felix on a loan deal till the end of the season with no obligation to buy. All they would have to do is pay his wages and £8 million for the loan. It's a real bargain. I think he'll end up going to Arsenal, and I think it'll be a very good signing for Arsenal. But look, should United be looking at that, or should they be staying on Gakpo? I suppose at the end of the day, Macaro says there's a big Enzo Fernandez update. Mate, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I suppose it will be. Why is it a big update from some Portuguese journalist we've never heard of? And explain to me this. Where have Manchester United found £100 million from to bid for Enzo Fernandez in January? It simply cannot happen. It cannot happen in January. We cannot spend that amount of money in January. We can't. There is something called a financial year. We've already spent 200 million. We can't go and spend 350 million. We can't do it. So it's not going to happen. The big significant update is the Joao Felix one, because it's coming from somebody who we know is very close to Mendes. Where would Felix play? He's not a striker. We already have Sancho and Rashford on the left. Well, we don't have Sancho at the moment, United have. And Gakpo can play striker until the summer, until we buy number 9. Then we can move Cody Gakpo where we want. Well, you're going to spark a debate there, United have, because Joao Felix actually played as a striker against us and scored a goal, didn't he? He got up ahead of Harry Maguire last year in was it the Champions League? Renate says, Merry Christmas to all. Thank you, Renate, legend. And, Gakpo's not really played as an out-and-out striker that much. So I think it's much of a much. I think Joao Felix can play in all the positions that Gakpo can play in, and Gakpo can play in all the positions that Joao Felix can play in. So I don't think there's much of a difference between where either player plays. Ian says that kids with chicken pox, my mum's going in for an op on the 28th, but everyone's still in Christmas spirit thanks to your quality content, and thanks for everything. Merry Christmas, Ian. Hope you're doing well. Any news on new owners to say? I wish I could. I'd love to wake up tomorrow and have a story about that on Christmas Eve. And you never know. All I know is that there's so many journalists out there, not just in the football world, in the business world as well, trying to get a scoop on who the new owners of Man United are going to be. But at the moment, they just can't get it. And that probably leans towards the fact that the Glazers are pondering. They're pondering which bid to go with. That's the best case scenario, or worst case scenario, there's not a bid they want to take. So no update at the moment, but hopefully we'll get one soon. Especially if we're looking to sell in March, you've got to start motoring through the sale process. Amir says, Mark, the poll is still 50-50, so it looks like we're getting both. Merry Christmas to United, the United Stand, and all United fans. We're getting both. Imagine if we did get both. Gakpo's taken over now. Now, it was very interesting with this poll, because we've had nearly 7,000 votes now. Basically, the poll is, who would you rather get, Gakpo or Joao Felix in January? It started off with 60% going for Felix. It's gradually gone down to 50%, and now it's 51% Gakpo. So it's a good job I didn't just close it very, very quickly, isn't it? Painless says, if there's no obligation to buy Joao Felix, do we get first refusal on buying him? Well, I don't know. You'd assume that. So no obligation to buy means that if Joao Felix doesn't do well, we can just send him back to Atletico Madrid and we don't have to buy him. That can be a good and a bad thing, because if he does well, it could spark a bidding war with people who want him. So, but I see it as a positive. Did you like 1923? Says Tumbleweed. Not watched it yet. It's not really Christmassy, so I'll probably watch it in the new year, maybe. What if we get Felix and Gakpo? Says Reyes. And Felix would be class, but then so would Gakpo. I'd be happy with whoever Ten Hag wants. Keep up the good work. Mark says Football Maniac TV. Thanks for all the questions tonight. Remember, Friday is a bit of a Q&A show, so we're whizzing through the stuff tonight. Thanks for all the comments. Mark, no matter who comes in, he will be in a graveyard shift, says Sapatashi. And how about we send Sancho to Atletico on loan to maybe spark him again? Arjun, I think that would be the worst thing you could do. Send Jadon Sancho to a club that Joao Felix has struggled at because they're not very attacking. I'm sorry, that would not be a good move for Jadon Sancho at all. And I don't think if Jadon Sancho was to leave Manchester United in the next 6 months, I think it's over. That to me cannot be the solution. If Jadon Sancho is going on loan or something to rebuild his career, it's over. Because if Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho really want to make this work, you don't send him on loan, you make it work. So I don't expect that to happen. I don't expect to see Jadon Sancho leaving on loan or anything like that. No matter how they dress it up, I expect him to come back and be part of the plans. I hope that's going to happen. Neil says, hi Mark, wishing you well. Before the season starts again, what's your reflection on areas of improvement and positives to come? Good question, Neil. Well, the positives for me are the way that we played under Erik ten Hag. Let's not forget that we ended last season the worst ever Premier League season of Manchester United. It's our worst ever points tally in Premier League history, which is 30 years. We had more leaks than a hedgehog's lilo. It was disgusting this time last year. I think most of us would have sold most of the squad in May. And yet 6 months later, or 8 months later, a lot of that squad's still here. They're performing better. There's no more leaks. There's more respect. Some of the new signings have come in and do really well. You've got people like Casemiro, who are just world class. We're getting Varane better and playing more. Rashford's rejuvenated. Luke Shaw and Dalot have really bounced back well as well. Eriksen's made a massive difference. Martinez as well. There's just so many positives, and I think also, although it's not consistent yet, and you're not going to get consistency yet, we've had glimpses of how we can play. And we know how. I mean, David De Gea was talking about it today. We want to move the ball better from the back. We want to press higher up the pitch. We want to dominate teams, and that's the progression for me. I always say this, actually. It'll be very interesting to see where we are this time next year, because this time next year, we've got to take a massive leap, and Ten Hag 100% has to still be the manager, and I think he will be. But yeah, interesting from where we were a year ago, where I remember being in a bar about a week before Christmas, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. I was in a bar in Birmingham watching Man United against Norwich, and we were bloody awful. Times End, welcome to the Members Club. Hi Mark, can you call my friend Rama a prat? Please smash a like on the video, by the way. I think we're nearly at 1,000 likes. Red shirt weighs heavy, same for Sancho as a new goalkeeper and a striker too, says De Gea 10. Rose says, and Rose is a member as well, thanks for the super chat, says, do you prefer Old Trafford to be renovated over like a 10-year period, or new owners build a new stadium and turn Old Trafford into a park or museum? I think it'd be a very sad day if Old Trafford got knocked down. So for me, I make no apologies about wanting renovation, but I also am a realist, and we could have a brand spanking new stadium behind Old Trafford, because there's a huge car park there that's one of the best in Europe, built in half the time for probably half the price. You have to be a bit realistic about it. But honestly, I would love to see a solution that keeps us at Old Trafford, where we keep some of the original features of that ground and modernising it. But I think a lot of people would like a new stadium as well. Some people would like to be like, what I think. I'm going to close the poll. We've had a lot of votes, 7,500. 51% of you would go with Gakpo and 49% of you would go with Felix. So, look, Gakpo wins the poll, but I think it shows there that there's a lot of different opinions. Giorgio says a new modern stadium would be cheaper than renovations. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Rayan says, Bruno Andrade is a very good journalist, and if I remember correctly, he was the first journalist to talk about our interest in Anthony 2 to 3 days after you first talked about it on this show. Rayan, as I say, I'm not going to believe that journalist. I'm sorry. It needs to go. I have a book of contacts / journalists that I will go, right, this looks really interesting. That Joao Felix story from Duncan Castles looks interesting because I know that Duncan Castles has got good connections with George Mendes. I don't think Man United bidding £100 million for Enzo Fernandez has got any truth in it. Now, there might be more clarity to it that we're going to do it in the summer, in which case I agree. But I don't think anybody's bidding £100 million for Enzo Fernandez in January. So it's a bit like that story that came out, was it last weekend? United still want Bellingham and De Jong, but neither deal is going to happen in the January transfer window. So maybe that's where that story is. Maybe that story is about the summer, in which case there's probably something in it. But we're not bidding £100 million for Enzo Fernandez in January. And we shouldn't do. And the refreshing thing for me is I think a lot of the chat would agree with me. We shouldn't be spending £100 million on Enzo Fernandez in January. He's not a £100 million player. I judge him on Benfica. He's played very well for Benfica. I don't judge him on a World Cup. I mean, bloody hell. McAllister from Brighton played brilliant in that World Cup. And, maybe they are brilliant players, but you've got to be very careful about what you do based on a World Cup. I wouldn't spend £100 million on him. I'm sorry. Not now. Maybe in the summer, but not now. Would you be mad if the new owners sacked Ten Hag? Says RP. And I would be absolutely fuming. Absolutely fuming. 100% fuming. I would not be happy about that. I don't want to see a new owner coming in and changing the manager. Marcos dos Santos says, if we can't get Felix on loan for 15 million and Gakpo is going to cost us 45 to 50, how are we going to get Gakpo and a right back? What right back will cost less than 15 million pounds? Marco, I'm very intrigued with what United are going to do in the right back situation, because for me, if you spend 50 million pounds on Cody Gakpo, it's absolutely massively unlikely that we're going to spend any money on what's his name? A right back. I don't see how it can happen. It just wouldn't make any sense at all. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, and who's the right back we're going for? I was actually having a bit of a conversation with somebody about this today, and I was like, there's lots of right back options out there, but Delo's our number one. Under Eric Ten Hag, Stephen Rossi says, the team never looked like they would got out of second gear winning against Burnley when they used to struggle every match last year. Yeah, I mean, I actually was quite surprised by what Gary Neville said about that Burnley game. He said United never really got going, but just did enough against better opposition they would have got beat. I would agree that we had more gears to go through, but I thought we were comfortable against Burnley and we could have played better if we wanted to. I mean, I think there was a couple of weaknesses in that team. I didn't think McTominay played well or Dubravka, but I thought we played. I quite enjoyed how we moved the ball around at times. Frimpong, Pavard, Dumfries, says Trevor, all going to cost you a fair bit of money in January though. I mean, I like Gusto. I keep saying this. I like Gusto at Lyon, but we're probably not going to get him. Patron says Malo, Gusto and Felix would be insane. I mean, for me, that would be a perfect January transfer window. It really would. Parn says, I think that Casemiro might play as centre-back again against Forest. I still think we would beat Forest with Casemiro at centre-back and McTominay at holding midfielder, but I really do hope that Maguire or Varane are back, because I want to see Casemiro in that midfield. I think if you put McTominay in there, you're giving the opportunity to the opposition to have a chance. King Jeremiah says, do you think Gakpo or Felix would make us reach top four? We'll put it this way, I think if we don't buy a forward, we won't get top four. I'm not going to say we'll get top four if we do buy a forward, but I think if we want to get top forward, we've got to buy a forward. We can't not do anything, and I don't think they won't do anything. Bayern want Gusto because Pavard refused a new contract, says Zakaria. Yeah, and you can always tell what a good player somebody is when Bayern Munich are trying to get hold of them. I read that as well, you're right. Will we see Donny revive his career at United, says Pran? Well, there's a good video on the channel last night with, I think it's Beth and Adam talking about the end of Donny van der Beek, and I think, didn't bring him on in the Carabao Cup, didn't start him in the Carabao Cup. He was given 3 starts before the World Cup. I just don't see a way back for Donny. I don't know whether we'll let him go in January, but at the moment, I mean, he's been given game time and he didn't do anything with it. Now he's not getting game time. It's difficult. It's difficult to see how he gets a way back. I mean, nothing surprises me in football. Maybe there is a way back, but I'm not seeing it really. There's a lot of people who've turned on Donny van de Beek as well, and I like Donny van de Beek, but I'm also a realist, as I say, in the sense that it just doesn't look like it's going to work. I remember Adam, I was on tour with the United Stands, and there was one game in particular where he interviewed Donny after the game, and he messaged me and he said, I don't know what's going on, but he looks bereft of confidence and completely, lost. And that was in the summer when Ten Hag was here, and you'd think he'd be quite motivated. And then he went and got injured for ages, didn't he? I mean, maybe there's just a few players that are mentally scarred from the last couple of years, because Donny doesn't look right, Jadon Sancho's not right. It was an infamously terrible interview, Matthew. It was awkward. It was very awkward, but it stunned me because Donny obviously loves Ten Hag. Ten Hag loves Donny, and you thought this is going to be a match made in heaven, and it's actually probably got worse. I agree with what Beth said on that video. I actually think that Donny's best games for United have been when he's played deeper. I think when he plays as a 10, he looks absolutely shit. Hi Mark, I've been watching for a year and a half now, and I was wondering what the members role has, as I want to watch more United Stand content. This is United Zone. So you get your badge next to your name, United Zone, and also you get a weekly extra video. So the last 3 videos have been quizzes, but normally we do a bit of a deep dive comparing players and stuff like that once the games are back up and running. Merry Christmas, Mark, says United Av. Assuming our new owner has deep pockets, specifically, who is at the top of your wish list at centre-back, striker, right-back and midfield? Hope to see you in LA this summer. Yeah, you too, bruv, and have a good Christmas. So Osman is my number 1 striker at the moment. Right-back is Gusto. Centre-back is Kim Min-jae. And midfielder, I mean, obviously Jude Bellingham. But if it's not Jude Bellingham, I actually would like Enzo Fernandez, but I'm not spending £100 million on him. What are your goals for the United Stand in 2023 and perhaps the MG channel, says HHF. At the moment, my goal is just to get through this video. I've got a massive headache. But it's been a brilliant year for the United Stand. I think to finally have our studio in Manchester and be able to do, all sorts of stuff with, open the community up. We want people to visit and do stuff. It's a huge achievement. Obviously, I've got my Talk Sport show as well on Saturday nights. I've managed the Sidemen charity game. What else have I done this year? So it's been brilliant. Obviously, we went on tour to Australia. I want to go on the tour next year. I want to go to US tour next year. But apart from that, it's difficult to know what we want to do next year. I'm open to ideas. I don't know. I want to take United Stand on tour. I want to get United Stand out on tour as well. I want to do some shows in some arenas and stuff like that. Not Wembley Arena, but I want to do that because if you've ever watched my channel, I quite like just standing and talking shit. So we could probably combine the first half as a United Stand show and the second half as a bit of a stand-uppy chat thing. So yeah, I'd like to do some of that. But time is always the thing. I think it's going to be a very busy year. Man United are going to be playing 3 games a week till May, the January transfer window, the summer transfer window, the tour, and then you're back in September and it's Christmas again. So there's never a downtime, is there really? But I love it. It's great. Top 4 is reliant on getting Varane and Lissandro through to the end of the season. I don't think a forward changes it. I think that's a very intelligent point, Charlie. I think that team changes so much when it hasn't got Varane and Martinez in it. Even one of them out, if it's Martinez and Maguire or it's Varane and Lindelof, we're totally different. Martinez and Varane make us play different. We're a much better team with them in it. And if one of them's out, I agree. We look very different. We become definitely more counter-attacking. United Zone, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. Sign Bella Kotchup. I like Bella Kotchup. He'll end up at Liverpool, but I like Bella Kotchup. I do like him. Arjun says Donny and also I think it's realistic that Southampton might get relegated, so we might want to look at that. Donny and Sancho both bought by Ollie and not played them from the start of their United career, scared the players, both destroyed their confidence, says Arjun. You've probably got something in that. I mean, look, if you look at Solskjaer's signings, and I can't remember all of them, Dan James, flop. Harry Maguire, overpriced. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, overpriced and probably going to be a flop. Donny van de Beek, flop. Jadon Sancho at the moment, look what's happening. Varane, in his first year with Ollie, didn't do great. So who else did he buy? Bruno was a good signing. I think Bruno was a good signing. I think Agallo was one of his as well, wasn't he? So I just remember with Solskjaer, people didn't rate him as a manager, but said he was good at signing, so he should be the director of football. I think with any signing, you've got to wait a year. Even though Lisandro Martinez looks like he's going to be brilliant and, Casemiro looks brilliant, I still think that everybody's got to be given a year, because I remember with Mourinho, when he bought Pogba, Bailly, Zlatan and Mkhitaryan, for the first 6 months they looked unbelievable, and then the second season it just didn't work. So DMP says Donny could still be good. I hope so. But you know what I do like about Ten Hag, and it will be very interesting if he brings Gakpo in. Let me just blow my nose. Can't believe I've got ill at Christmas. What I do like about Ten Hag is that when he buys a player, he completely goes all in. When he brings Eriksen in, people thought he was going to be a bench player, straight in the team. When Martinez is brought, he's straight in the team. Anthony, straight in the team. Malacia wasn't straight in the team, but as soon as Luke Shaw didn't look great, Malacia's straight in the team. Casemiro, as soon as he was up to speed, straight in the team. If he gets Gakpo or Felix, I think they'll go straight in the team. So it's interesting, really, how it pans out. But you talk about Ollie with Donny and Sancho, didn't put them straight in the team, and it's not worked out. Do you agree that Bruno's output will go up again dramatically now that he's the top dog again, says Charlie? I thought he played well on Wednesday. I think he's got a run of games now where he's not going to be playing with Ronaldo. I would expect to see a better Bruno. I don't think it was Ronaldo's fault. I think Ronaldo at the moment, I'm disgusted by the treatment of Ronaldo in general. I think it's a prime example of holding somebody up as this, and then the minute things go wrong, stabbing them in the back. Ronaldo's a great at Man United. No one's ever going to change my mind on that. It's not Ronaldo's fault that Bruno couldn't play with him. That's Bruno's fault. As a player, you've got to take responsibility. If you can't play with a player, you've got to adapt. It's not Ronaldo's fault that Bruno couldn't play with him. Bruno should have found a way. But I do agree that with Ronaldo not in the team, I think we'll see a better Bruno. And look, some people still aren't sure on Bruno. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's had a indifferent, to be harsh, year. But, I think we need to see a consistent Bruno from now on. And I'm hopeful that we will. I mean, look, I think Ten Hag has had a very promising start to his career at Manchester United. And I expect it to continue being promising. It's great. You know what? I'm not going to read you out all these people who think you're being clever. It's just nice to block you. So keep doing it. George G, thank you very much and welcome to the members club. And still love Bruno, says Renate. And why are people saying that Gakpo's career will be ruined, says Collins? I don't know. The world's a weird place. I've just had to block a couple of people in the chat who, for some reason, the night before Christmas Eve, are on a United Stand chat saying vile things, and I'm like, you need to look in the mirror. Your life is shit, absolutely shit. If you're spending time on our community saying bad things, like, look in the mirror and go and do something useful with your life. Put a smile on your face instead of being bitter. I just don't get it. You don't need to be here. And it completely doesn't bother anybody in the chat or me. You just get blocked. Goodbye. It's been a great show. I've really enjoyed it. United Av has just gifted 5 memberships. You see, the good will out. The good will come through. And welcome to the Members Club, George G. Big shout out to United Av and Dennis. They've gifted some memberships tonight, like Santa. And do you agree it's the club making great players drop their standards and quality, says True Football? Well, I think maybe under previous management, but no, not now. Not now. I think we've got a good manager now, who's developing players, who's buying good players. But not only is he buying good players, he's developing players that weren't his players, like Delot. He didn't buy Delot. Rashford, he didn't buy Rashford. So I think that at the moment things are looking very promising. Lee says, I really admire your work ethics. You've come a long way and you deserve everything you have right now. Happy holidays to you and your family. 100% respect to your work ethics. And thank you very much, Lee, for the super chat. And great. Hope you have a great holiday season. Leo's just gifted 5 United Stand memberships as well. Legends. Thank you very much, Leo. Welcome to all our new members, says Sally. Yeah, don't forget to do the quiz. If you are a new member, don't forget to do the quiz. It's on the members section. If you go to the community tab as well, you'll see the link for it there as well, which is on the homepage. Is there any updates on Sancho, says Quaid? Well, we just spoke about it. Ten Hag basically said I spoke about 20 minutes ago, that Sancho's unlikely to play against Forest as he continues his rehabilitation away from Carrington. There we go. The membership gets chosen randomly, Sade, so it will just pick people from the live chat. It's luck. It's luck. Simple as that. And Josiah's just gifted 5 members now. I almost don't want to end the show as people start gifting memberships to people. I feel like I'm depriving people of a membership if I end it, but I'm just about done. I think I'm just about done here. So thanks everyone for watching. You know what? Tush has just made the comment of the night. What's the update on Delo? Why did nobody ask after the Burnley game what's the update with Delo? It might be in the embargoed section, which is coming out on Monday, but there's no update on Delo at the moment. I mean, for all we know, he's back against Forest or he's out for another month. I mean, if it's a hamstring injury, he's out for another month, but we've had no update on him at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see. What do you get for dinner, Mark? Well, I had a very Christmassy dinner. I mean, I don't know whether it is Christmassy, but we always have it at Christmas. So it's a baked camembert, which is that round cheese thing. You bake it in the oven, and then you dip carrots and bread and celery in it, and just take the cheese off and eat it with a bit of chutney. Quite a festive thing. So, yeah, enjoyed that. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We're back in the morning at 10 o'clock with the Christmas Eve news show. I mean, there's nothing special about it being Christmas Eve in relation to the news show. There will just be news that we're reacting to in the morning. And one thing I do have on Christmas Eve lunchtime is my my special sausage sandwiches, which is not an analogy for anything. In fact, if you follow me on Instagram, I'll remind you tomorrow at Goldbridge Mark. I'll show you how I do it. I'll do a little bit of cooking with Goldbridge off my Instagram. Who do you think's better, Varane or Van Dijk, says Mills? I prefer Varane. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your evening, whatever you're up to. Take care. Fantastic show. Loved it tonight. Hope you did as well. Welcome to all the new members. Legends who gifted them. Really appreciate it. And people who joined themselves. The chat's been brilliant. Really enjoyed it. And I think that Joao Felix story is really interesting. And whether it's us or Arsenal, someone's getting a fantastic deal there. I think we'll end up with Gakpo, and I think he'll end up at Arsenal. But it'll be interesting to see how both do. But it's just an indicator, isn't it, that if you want to get in the top 4, you've got to do good business in January, and United have got to do good business. Simple as that. Speak to you all in a bit. Take care.